Here lately, I've been talking about workplace gaslighting. If you don't know what gaslighting is, it's basically when someone undermines an experience that happened to you. So, in cases of abusive situations, you go tell someone, maybe the abuser themselves or someone that's supposed to be your friend, that you're being abused, you're being mistreated, you're being talked about, you're being discriminated against, and they say, that's all in your head. It's not real. You're reading too much into this situation. That's some examples of gaslighting. So when that happens and your experience is not validated, that is actually, it can be emotionally traumatizing to you. So when you're traumatized, you go into a fight or flight response. You're angry. You can't get the situation out of your head. You're prepared for some kind of battle, whether the battle is physical or not. You're preparing to fight, because you've been violated. And so, one of the things you have to do to bring yourself out of this state, because when you're in this state, there's no solutions. It's not an actual danger, it's more of a perceived danger. So, if your life is not in danger, it's considered perceived. So, when that happens, you have to learn how to ground and center yourself. I've been doing a few videos on that on other platforms, but you have to learn how to bring yourself back into your body, which is the grounding part, and then center yourself, which is usually associated with the spiritual part. You ground yourself so that you can center in with your spiritual center, with the God in you. And what that does is that it creates a sense of stability, a sense of safety and security, because you have to feel that sense of safety and security before you can move forward and heal and find solutions, plan the next steps. What do I need to do? You need to be in that state. And the only way that you're in that state is if you know how to turn off that fight or flight response and turn on the relaxation response, which would be called the parasympathetic response. So when you engage in practices that help you to ground and center, which helps you to activate that rest and relax state, uh, you feel that sense of security, but you also are able to regulate your emotions better, in addition to everything else I just said. So one of the things you can do to ground and center, to bring yourself into a state of peace, a state of rest and relaxation, so that you can make mature, healthy decisions, so that you can move from point A to point B to point C, do whatever you got to do to make your situation better. One of the techniques you can use is called heart coherence, and that's when you work to get your breath in alignment with your heartbeat. So basically, what you do, you find yourself a quiet space. You can be outside with the wind blowing. I don't know how the weather is where you are, but if it's pleasant weather, then this nature is a great place to do this, as long as you're safe. You could do it in a home, your favorite room, your meditation chair, whatever you have, and you close your eyes so you can keep them open, but I close mine. And you breathe in. So you start breathing in from your navel. 5-second breath. 5 seconds in. Hold it. And then 5 seconds out. 5 seconds in. Brief hold. 5 seconds out. And you do that for 10 minutes, at the most. You can do it for 5 if you have problems maintaining your focus, or if you need to get used to that breathing from your navel. But make sure you're breathing from your navel, not your chest, because that activates that fight or flight response when you breathe from your chest. So make sure you breathe from your navel. That tells your body that you're safe and you're secure. You can even use this practice when you're having intrusive thoughts. And I'm not a therapist, so I'm putting that out there. But if you're having intrusive thoughts, you can use breathing is usually a technique you can use as well to take your mind off of those intrusive thoughts, off of flashbacks. But, as always, get to a therapist if you're having those things, if those things are going on with you. Um, Do it for 10 minutes and make it a regular practice. You may want to practice throughout the day. You may want to practice, you definitely want to practice daily, but multiple times throughout the day until it becomes normalized, until it becomes a habit. And you have to practice these things when you're not traumatized, hopefully, so that when you do experience trauma, you go right to that method. You go right to your tools, whatever you have to combat what's going on with you. So that's my technique. One technique you can use to overcome workplace gaslighting: when someone undermines you, tells you that you're silly, tell you that what you're saying is not true. Maybe you misread the situation, you're too sensitive, whatever it is. If any time someone dismisses your situation, something that happened to you, is gaslighting. And it's not healthy, it's not good. If you can't get away from the people that's doing it to you, get yourself back to a sense of safety and security and stability by using something like the heart coherence technique, so that you can move forward, so that you can find solutions, so that you can even feel better about yourself. But definitely to feel safe and secure. Knowing that, and when you also make a connection, when you center, you make a connection with your spiritual center, which is a center of unconditional love. But you also tend to feel more protected. You tend to feel like it's okay. You feel loved, you feel supported, all of those things. You need to have that sense to overcome trauma. Okay, so my name is Kadira Ali, and I help women overcome workplace gaslighting. And as always, peace and love.